Hi, welcome and welcome back. I hope you're doing well. The narcissist gets invited to leave multiple times. I remember as a young girl, I was at home and heading out the door to go somewhere. And my father was sitting at the dining table, and I walked past him, and I was very intimidated by my dad growing up. And I started not to say anything at all because I just thought, you know what, I was always walking on eggshells. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna get on out of here, go do what I need to do, not poke the bear. And that could even be saying something or just even looking at him. So I thought, you know what, something's wrong and I'm gonna ask him about it. So I kind of timidly asked him, I said, Dad, what's wrong? What's going on? And he burst into tears. And he said, your mother's upset with me. Your mother's upset with me. I had never seen him cry like that before. I was shocked. I thought, I'm just gonna give him a hug. And so I stopped. I kind of turned to him and went over to him and just gave him a hug. And I just thought, whoa, like this is heavy. Anyway, when it was all said and done, he kind of calmed down or whatever, and then I went on to do whatever it was that I needed to do. Later on, my mother would share with me, I asked him to leave several times, and he wouldn't. And if you've been with a narcissist, you know that it can be hard to get out of the relationship or to get the narcissist to leave if you're trying to get them to leave, like if you're trying to get them to pack their stuff up and go. And my mom definitely struggled with that as well because my dad just would not leave, despite the fact that she had literally invited him to leave multiple times. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because there are definitely a variety of reasons why narcissists won't accept your invitation for them to leave. And it goes so much deeper than they're self-absorbed and they lack empathy. There are literally things that happen within the body and within the brain that will dictate not only the narcissist's behavior, but our behavior too. Let's talk about social dominance. When there is a threat in a situation, like a relationship, for example, it could be a real threat, it could be a perceived threat. Narcissists can perceive threats, or they can actually be faced with a real threat. You can too. The bottom line is we're all human and we can all face real or perceived threats. When we feel threatened, whether it's real or perceived, something happens in the body where our sympathetic nervous system kicks in and we go into what I've talked about in other videos as Hulk mode. And the monster comes out, and so we well up with emotions. We're feeling some kind of way, and we're reacting some kind of way as a result of this real or perceived threat. And then once we go into that Hulk mode, where we're ripping our shirt off, and it's like something happens, and that's where you get a behavioral response or an outward behavior, right? So it starts internally, but then there's an outward behavior that follows the internal response that kicks in, okay? So it could be an adaptive response, and that's where we, put our fists up and we get ready to fight. Like, come on, I got this. Like, I'm here for it. Or we can run away, like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna go over here. It could even be internally. We could just feel like, or we could feel like, and become more compliant, like, oh, okay, or whatever you say, and submissive, or just passive in our behavior. Now, This can apply to the narcissist, but it can also apply to you. You just need to be aware of the impact of social dominance in the form of a real or perceived threat, the Hulk mode kicking into gear, and then the adaptive or mitigating behavior that comes as a result. Just so that you can be more in tune with your body. You can understand what's going on a deeper level, right? With a behavioral response or reaction to the perceived threat, different things can show up. So say, for example, in the case of my dad, my mom was like, look, you need to get out of here. Like, you need to leave. I don't know how she worded it. I'm just saying that. But basically, my mom was like, look, you got to go. Like, this is not working. So there may be pride, and that could come in the form of just a defensiveness. Well, what do you mean? Well, you're not perfect either. Or maybe pride in terms of just that wall of resistance, like you can't make me leave. You can't make me leave. I'm going to stay here as long as I want to. Another response or reaction that you might see in terms of behavior might be sadness, discouragement, depression, which is a little bit more mitigating, more passive, not so in your face. Or you may see crying and begging and pleading. And, well, come and give me another chance. Give me another chance. You got to give me another chance. I'm sorry. I love you. I promise I'll be better. And more manipulative, that could kind of go both ways, with the outward behavior, but also with that kind of manipulative behavior to draw you in, like, oh, no, don't cry. And, oh, the social dominance game at the end of the day is kind of like a tug of war. And our behavior has an impact on our relationships. Just like the narcissist can perceive a threat or feel threatened when they're asked to leave the relationship, you may feel threatened by the narcissist staying. Maybe the narcissist is acting in a controlling manner. Maybe they're bossing you around. Maybe they're yelling at you. Maybe they're dictating how you look, what you're wearing, or they're pitting you against other people. Maybe it's another person outside of your relationship, or maybe they're pitting you against your own child. It could be, or a sibling. It could be any number of things. But you may be feeling threatened in the narcissistically abusive relationship and feel like you're being stifled. You're being just stuck. You're being bossed around. You're being controlled. You're being manipulated. And when that happens, that can be perceived as a threat to you. In which case, you might have a response or reaction as a result and go into a sort of Hulk mode. Like, you're not going to control me. And then, hey, get out. Or I'm calling the cops. Or you may you may go into fight mode. So the social dominance game works both ways. And the bottom line is, when people feel threatened, there's a reaction that takes place internally that leads to the outward behavior. So keep that in mind when you are dealing with other people and even navigating current relationships that you may be in, because that might help you to be able to find ways to maneuver around. The narcissist gets comfortable when they feel like they have locked someone in that they can control and manipulate. They can get comfy and really start to kick back and relax and coast and enjoy the relationship, right? Financially, physically, emotionally, and a number of other ways. Materially, they'll kick back and enjoy the relationship. And if they think that they've got you under their control, boy, it's going to be a shocker when you say, look, get out, or look, I've had enough. Or if you just shut it down altogether and just bail out without a word. That's shocking to the system. And that activates that threat response system. And that sympathetic nervous system kicks in, takes over, and then you get the behavioral response. You get the outbursts. You get the retaliatory, childish tactics. You know, some of you might have had the narcissist maybe call your job and try to get you fired, or slash your tires so that you can't go to work, or call you from burner numbers and try to harass you, stalk you, either online or in person, blow up your phone, email you, try to reach out to you, try to hoover you back into the relationship, because there's that perceived threat of abandonment. And then also there's just the disruption of not having that comfortable relationship that they've gotten accustomed to, but are not really putting in the heart work and the hard work that it takes to sustain a long-term relationship. Ultimately, my mom had to force her hand in order to get my dad to leave. And I thought she did it in a brilliant way that he did not see coming. He had to find other arrangements for himself, and he had to start over. And it took a while for her to get to that point, but she got there and she delivered and went on to live her best life. While my dad continued to burn bridges, destroy relationships, and sink further into a depression and just end up with nothing. All the while blaming everyone else for his situation and circumstances. How have you experienced the social dominance game in your life? Comment below. I'd love to hear. Narcissists get invited to leave multiple times, oftentimes, and it can be very frustrating and it can be very challenging to get away from them if you're in a relationship. There's a lot going on there on both sides in the social dominance game. But ultimately, you have to protect yourself and protect your health and do what you need to do to be able to live the most positive, productive, and prosperous life that you can. A lot of times that means getting rid of or getting away from the narcissist. You're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.